second biggest investment firm in the world, right behind BlackRock. Now, as you know, BlackRock and Vanguard are at odds with one another. They hate each other. They're big competitors. That's why Vanguard, we're going to look at, they said no Bitcoin. It's an immediate FU to BlackRock, right? We're going to look at what this really means. And I'm going to show you some stuff from Mr. X to lay this out perfectly for you guys at the end of this video. So make sure to stay tuned. But let's start with this story right here. $8 trillion asset manager Vanguard will not allow its customers to buy Bitcoin ETFs January 11th. So starting about middle of January, January 11th, all of a sudden this news comes out that Vanguard is not interested in doing ETFs. They're not going to allow their investors to buy Bitcoin ETFs. And we're going to look at why here in just a little bit. But one thing that they kept talking about was that they believe that it is too volatile. So Vanguard said, you know what? We're going to put out a statement. No Bitcoin ETFs at Vanguard. Here's why. January 24th this year. Starts scrolling down. The recent introduction of spot Bitcoin ETFs has been generating headlines and buzz in pockets of the industry. However, Vanguard does not have plans to create a Vanguard Bitcoin ETF or other crypto-related products. We're going to show you what the setup is. I'm going to show you the setup, why this is all so important, why they're lying to you. There's a big reason it's really bullish. You're going to want to find out. Are there any plans to launch a Vanguard Bitcoin ETF? They said no. They went on to have this interview where they talked about all kinds of stuff. Okay. So now fast forward to, March 1st. Vanguard CEO to retire. All right, guys, that's it. You guys know, here in crypto, we got a big voice, we got a lot of power, and you know what we decided? We're going to speak out against Vanguard not allowing a Bitcoin ETF. We're going to make waves across the industry and across traditional investing, and they're going to, the CEO is going to have to step down. Look, he's forced to retire. He was forced to retire so we could have Bitcoin. Guys, that's not exactly what happened. Vanguard CEO to retire, but firm unlikely to change anti-crypto stance. Remember the information networks. Remember what we're told. Unlikely to change anti-crypto stance. Tim Buckley, who is the CEO of, or was the CEO who stepped down here of, obviously, Vanguard. Even here in this article, he says he still is not going to change his opinion. So he expressed the firm's stance in October of 2023, saying he does not believe crypto has any intrinsic value. And here, he goes on to talk about how basically this should not change what they're doing. Vanguard should not change. They're not gonna cave in. Now fast forward to March 18th, 18 days later. Vanguard CEO doubles down on anti-Bitcoin ETF stance. I thought this guy, Tim Buckley, I thought he was stepping down. Where's he at? Vanguard CEO Tim Buckley has doubled down on the firm's anti-Bitcoin ETF stance. He said, unless the asset class changes, responding to a webinar question on what it would take for it to launch a Bitcoin ETF, or why, first of all, we do not believe a Bitcoin ETF belongs in a long-term portfolio of someone saving for their retirement is a speculative asset. Vanguard's stance leaves it somewhat an outlier in the crypto space, with the likes of BlackRock, Fidelity, and Invesco all launching. What in the world? Buckley said it's just too volatile. Just too volatile. Weird, isn't it? You guys move on here. Wall Street Journal. Let's see, when was this here? This was May 14th, just a few days ago. Vanguard names former BlackRock executive as CEO. Salim Ramji led BlackRock's ETF business and left in January. Very strange. The guy in charge of the ETF, that's one of the greatest investment vehicles ever so far. Assets under management are going insane on it. And look at this. What in the world? The outsiders. Oh my gosh, that's so strange, isn't it? What's coming? Look at this here. Would you look at here? Oh my gosh, look at this. May 14th, same day. Vanguard, avowedly anti-crypto, names Bitcoin-friendly ex-BlackRock exec as CEO. Salim Ramji, who led BlackRock's ETF business, is now departed in January for Vanguard. And you guys can see here what the setup is. It's obviously turning very pro-crypto. I mean, look, guys. Yes, Vanguard's new CEO supported BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF launch. Sold. Absolutely. What? Vanguard's new CEO upholds firm stance against Bitcoin ETFs despite crypto enthusiasm? Well, this is really strange, guys. I don't know what's going on here, because what's really strange is we know the CEO is bullish, the new one. We know he's made personal statements about crypto. We know the last one was bearish. We know the ETFs are doing really well. Why are they still anti-crypto? So let's go into the story a little bit. He had a pro-Bitcoin stance when he was at BlackRock. Why is he suddenly anti-crypto? He's been quoted about his interest in digital assets, although I'm not sure that's going to change Vanguard's stance, but he will be the CEO. Who knows? Does much more open now, in my opinion? Very interesting. That was Eric Balkunis that said that about old Ramsey. You keep going down here, and on May 15th, he said, I've heard Greg Davis' explanation. I think it's entirely consistent with Vanguard's investment philosophy. It is a logical and consistent point of view. And that is revealing if they would maintain consistency Vanguard stands for. He didn't specifically comment on whether Vanguard would allow spot Bitcoin ETFs on its brokerage platform, but this doesn't look positive. You got a pro-crypto guy who launched the ETF at BlackRock. Guys, this is so bearish. It is really hard. I can't imagine anything more bearish than this right here. I really can't. It is really amazing. Guys, this is all bogus. This is all cooked up and false. Guys, let's talk about this real quick. This idea that Vanguard and BlackRock are number one and number two. Vanguard and BlackRock are both number one. They're the same people behind them. How do you know this? Well, here we go. We've got BlackRock pulled up on NASDAQ. Let's look at major holders of BlackRock. Who do you think is the number one holder? We got 0.96% of shares held by insiders, then 88.3% held by institutions, float, almost all of that, 2,500 holding shares. See who top institutional holders. Let's see here. Holder number one, Vanguard Group, 13.18 million shares. Date reported March 31st. Guys, Vanguard owns more of BlackRock than BlackRock does. I want you to think about that. State Street, Bank of America, Temasek, that is a Chinese company. And you start putting it together and you start realizing what's going on here. So I was talking to Mr. X, and this is what he said about this situation. He said, the joke of all the cross-pollination of all the largest investment companies and corporations is that nobody realizes what their 491k and pension funds actually hold. I was like, what is a 491k? To further expand on what I was saying earlier regarding the institutional investors, crossovers of investing in each other, it applies to all the major corporations as well. So when the major corporations becomes involved in a crypto endeavor, so do the institutional shareholders. An example, Apple's largest institutional shareholders, Vanguard Group, 8.47%, BlackRock, 6.7%, Berkshire Hathaway, 5.8%, and State Street, 3.76%. Look, 3 of the same 4. You get the idea. He also said, why I recently told you to look at the stock investments of one of them. They're all the largest institutional shareholders of each other. That is the money game, and no one realizes it. So the mainstream media plays on all of these fictional narratives. Vanguard's anti-crypto, Vanguard and BlackRock, they're totally different. They're at odds. They're everything. They don't like each other, blah, 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 blah. An example, BlackRock's largest institutional shareholders are Vanguard, BlackRock Fund Advisor, State Street, Temasek, and Bank of America. And here's what you have to understand, guys, okay? What you have to understand is that Vanguard is a setup for a bullish story. So now that they've changed CEOs, the old CEO can save face and say, well, it wasn't good when I was there, but new CEO, he took it in an interesting direction. They've got a pro-crypto guy who is in charge of the BlackRock IBIT, their ETF. Guys, it's obvious that they're setting up for their own ETF. And now I want you to think about this. This is how the media information works, the systems of information. Now what you're going to see is Vanguard announcing that their pro-crypto is going to moon the market. That's the setup of a bullish narrative led by the institutions. That's all I got. Be blessed. Good way out.